I'm excited for this one. We got two big changes to our power rankings as we dive into them in week. What is it? We're saying these are week 6 power rankings.
These
That's
are
how we
week
went
6
about
power rankings.
it. Week 6 power rankings. We're diving into. I'll start with my honorable mentions on this one. They have changed because, man, dude, two people took massive steps back. I'll tell you about them here in a minute. But first, Minkah Fitzpatrick remains an honorable mention. Just drawing the line. Everybody wants to talk about Minkah's not playing well. Minkah's not coming up with splash plays. He's still making a pretty significant impact in my eyes. He's doing a lot of good things. He's playing good football. He's an absolute missile to the football when other guys are missing. And I think Minkah Fitzpatrick's still a game changer. He still makes this team a boatload better, and he's still playing really well, even if he's not coming up with turnovers. And Joey Porter Jr., who we will mention here shortly, that interception that he got on the board. The guy standing right next to him was Minkah. So one of them was coming up with that football. Happened to be Joey, and I think that was Minkah taking one for the team. My first honorable mention of the day is Minkah Fitzpatrick. Number 2 here, I'll hit you with the shocker. This one's my favorite one on the list. I told him about it today in the locker room. I said, yo, you're my honorable mention in the power ranks. He goes, so I'm not top 5? I said, nah, sorry, pal. Landon Roberts. You want to talk about an undervalued player on the Pittsburgh Steelers? There is none more than a Landon Roberts. People last week we got a question about why don't the Steelers trade a Landon Roberts? They don't need him. They got Patrick Queen. They got Peyton Wilson. Eventually they'll get Cole Holcomb back. You want to know why? Because Landon Roberts punches the ball out on the goal line and gives your defense an opportunity to try to win a game against the Dallas Cowboys. That's why you do this. Landon Roberts comes up big constantly. He's always making a play. His snap count is not massive. He is not a guy that's going to be out on the field for 3 downs every single series, but he is a guy that when he is out on there, he's going to give 110%. He's going to make things happen. He is going to keep your defense aligned, and he is not going to slow down. Landon Roberts is worth the honorable mention. He is drawing the line where we walk, and I'm telling you, I like the Steelers should have got that ball back. The Steelers should have won that game against Dallas. And I get there's a billion reasons why they lost it. It's not just that last play. It's not just the defense giving up a touchdown with 20 seconds left. It's not all that. But Atlanta gave him an opportunity when they really needed an opportunity. And the way he did about that earns him a spot as an honorable mention. We'll dive into our top 5 here. 2 shakeups. I'll mention the 2 that have left first. Those are George Pickens and Justin Fields. I just didn't feel right. There's no way George Pickens was making this top 5 after the performance he put on against the Dallas Cowboys. And to be honest, he sunk fast. He sunk very fast. He might be so deep on this list. I mean, the power rankings every week, Sports Illustrated on SI, shout out on SI up behind me here. We do our power rankings. I have to submit a form every week. I forget about it every single week, and I do it at midnight while I'm laying in bed, where you have to go through and you got to rank all 32 teams. And the Pittsburgh Steelers dropped, I think, 4 spots in this week from last week. And that's where I look at George. He's probably about 4 spots back after the performance that he had. Justin Fields is the other one. Not the greatest game by Justin Fields. I'm not saying he's dropped 4 spots. I'm not saying he's close to the top 5 anymore, but I'm not saying he's too distant. And what I'm saying is you got to put on a better performance. That you killed it against the Indianapolis Colts, and that got you into the top 5. That got you into these power rankings. But not anymore. Not anymore. Where we're sitting now, you are on the outside looking in. I got all the faith in the world that Justin Fields can find himself back in that top 5 power rankings after Vegas, though. What we do have in the top 5, everybody called for this one. I got called out in week 1. It was my mistake. We started off with an L. Immediately started off with an L because I forgot a massive name on this list. Did not forget him this week. That is Chris Boswell. There are few MVPs in Pittsburgh right now worth more mention than Chris Boswell. That guy is putting up all the points. He has 13 field goals at this point, 12, made 12, attempted 13. He is nearly halfway through or has nearly hit half the amount of field goal attempts that he took last season, and we are 5 games into the regular season. Chances are he needs 3 more to get there. Chances are he's going to get there in week 6 against the Raiders. There's a pretty strong chance. This dude is putting up boots, and it's it's acknowledgement to the offense because it shows you how much the offense has grown because they're not getting in the end zone all the time. I understand that, but they're setting up Boswell for attempts. And that's a step forward. I mean, last year it was, you better just hope they could get to the other side of the 50. Chances are they're not going to, but you got to pray that they're getting to the other side of the 50. At least this year, it's like, man, I hope they get in the end zone. But if they don't, they're probably going to kick it. They're probably going to get 3 points, and that's okay. That's where we're looking for here. I'm going Chris Boswell at number 5, 12 of 13 on the season. He's already tied his season long from a year ago at 57 yards, and I think he's got 8 extra points as well. That dude is putting up points after points already. Go ahead.
I was going to say, and his one miss is a 60-plus yarder at the end of a
62 yards at the end of the half that had the distance was just wide right, I believe. Wide right, but had and in Heinz Field, which that is not the easiest place to be kicking footballs with the wind coming off of the river there. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. What's something that scares you? For me, it's the obvious ones. Death, loss, failure. Halloween lets us have fun with what scares us, but what about those fears that don't involve zombies and ghosts? Therapy is a great tool for facing your fears while finding ways to overcome them, because sometimes the scariest thing is not facing our fears in the first place and holding ourselves back. I'm somebody who's benefited from therapy for a long time, and I've been an advocate for therapy for years, and I'm excited to tell you guys about BetterHelp. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire and get matched with a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Overcome your fears with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/allsteelers today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/allsteelers. Number 4, a guy that was an honorable mention last week, finally got on the board with this interception, and I felt immediately when he did it, there it is, top 5. Joey Porter Jr. coming in hot at number 4. That's a guy that has been consistent. He had one bad game, and that bad game was immediately made up for because CeeDee Lamb didn't do his thing against Joey Porter Jr. Joey Porter Jr. was not a guy that was out there getting roasted by anybody, and when guys were on him, he came up with an interception. And I get bad pass, but still, to track that down, that's a big day for Joey Porter Jr. He's already tied his rookie total for interceptions, which is, it's a good day. It's a good week. Joey Porter Jr. is number 4. I still think Joey Porter Jr. could, by the end of the season, be looked at as one of the best corners in the NFL. I think he's on his way there. He's playing that way. He's shutting guys down. I get it. He's not coming up with a bunch of splash plays, but this is Pittsburgh, man. If you could punch somebody in the face and not let somebody throw the football, and you let TJ Watt and company do their jobs up front, you're playing good. You're doing exactly what the Steelers are asking for. Joey Porter Jr. is number 4 on this one. My top 3 does not change this week. Cam Hayward, Deshaun Elliott, and TJ Watt sit here at 3, 2, and 1. I get it. Deshaun Elliott gave up the touchdown at the end of that game to lose it, but I'll tell you, I think that was a great route. I think it was good coverage. Sometimes you're just going to get beat, and I think that's what it was. I think sometimes you just get beat, and Deshaun Elliott got beat on that one. I still think he had a phenomenal game. He made up for a lot. You go back and watch that tape. He made up for a lot of mistakes that guys like Beanie Bishop made, where he was coming in hot to come and get a guy that he shouldn't have had to come in and get, but he did anyways. He runs like a freaking missile, man. This dude, when he is coming downhill, is scary. And he's a scary looking dude in general, but he looks massive on that field, and he looks like when he hits you, it hurts, and it hurts bad. Cam Hayward is still old, reliable Cam Hayward. Nothing's changing there, and he continues to prove. He continues to be the rock in the center there, and they had some running issues. I get it. They couldn't do anything on the defensive side of the football, but if something was bigger, if somebody had more splash, maybe you move this around, but nobody had more splash. Nobody made their way up to number 3 or move that list from 3 to 4, so on and so forth. And TJ Watt, 1.5 sacks, technically a season high for him as we sit here right now, which is nuts to say. He's got 5 in 5 games, 5.5 in 5 games, became the second youngest player in NFL history with 100 career sacks. I mean, I was getting nervous that he wasn't going to do it. Turns 30, in a couple weeks here, maybe 2 weeks, and remains the most dominant player on the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's my power rankings this week. We got 2 honorable mentions in Minkah Fitzpatrick and Landon Roberts, and then 5 good ones. And good old Chris Boswell. We have a special teamer on this list and no offensive players. And I think that is where the Pittsburgh Steelers stand currently, is Chris Boswell is holding all the juice. Chris Boswell, Joey Porter Jr., Cam Hayward, Deshaun Elliott, and we top it off with good old TJ Watt. I'll send it to you.
Yeah, I like the list, especially looking at this list. You mentioned it. It's all defense, 1 special teamer, and even your honorable mentions were 2 defenders. I mean, that's exactly where the Pittsburgh Steelers are at right now. You know how I feel about Deshaun Elliott, but DJ Watt, I mean, what more can he do? He's getting held on every single play, and he's still finding a way to impact these games. The one question that I would have is there any way that maybe they start to move him around to try to get him away from those double teams, those constant chips? But especially with, the guys on the other side of him not being Alex Highsmith or Nick Herbig anymore, I'm thinking that might be something they think of. But at the same time, what he does by simply just being on his side is open up holes for everybody else on the defense, and maybe they need that more. But I like your list. Joey Porter is interesting, and the one thing that I will say is the fact that he's been this good this year makes it even more confusing that they continue to play zone sometimes. It just it baffles me.
Look you got 2 man guys who clearly show they could play man football, man coverage football, and 2 very strong safeties. I don't know if you're that scared of Beanie Bishop getting beat. I don't know. Maybe you don't have any confidence in your inside linebackers. I have no idea. But the fact that you keep dropping into zone makes no sense when you have 2 guys who are killing it as much as Joey Porter Jr. and Dante Jackson are with Minkah Fitzpatrick and Deshaun Elliott. And when it comes to TJ Watt, I do think, and I hope that they kind of move him around this week. I thought they were going to last week. I think it was more of a Jeremiah Moon is not ready to just start getting tossed all over the field, but you got to start moving TJ to get TJ involved.